On the bench today, we have a Omnitech 486. This is another computer from the Bit History sale. This one did power on, but it didn't want to boot because I thought it had a bad battery. Which a lot of these 486s, the battery's right there, but as you can see, we don't have a battery. Instead, we have one of these. Good old Dallas. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to modify this. I have some battery holders here. I've done this modification before. And it does work pretty well. There's the things that you can buy, the chips you can buy with the battery in them, and I'm sure they work great. This is easy and cheap. So we do have a hard drive in this system. I'm trying to get it out to see what it is. Got a 5 1/4 inch drive, and floppy, another tape drive system. We'll give this one a try and see if it works. We have 486SX, 25 megahertz. Built right into the board. We do have an upgrade slot. So, should be a fun system to get working. And this is actually the hard drive out of the system. It's a Quantum Pro Drive ELS. As you can see, I wrote bad caps on it. The drive would spin up and it would spin right back down. And the problem was there's 2 caps right there, and they were both leaky. And as you can see, in removal, I lifted one of the solder pads there, so that may be a problem to overcome. I'm hoping there's some unpopulated spots right there next door that maybe we can piggyback the negative off of one of them or off of the one next to it here. But I would like to try and see if we can get this drive working. If we can't, we do have other drives and other options. So components should be here for that in a couple days. I was hoping they'd be here before the holiday weekend, but you know how that goes. So we'll work on that and then slowly piece this together. As you can see, I take the front panel off to get the drive cage out of it, which that's not a big deal. Just real quick to film what I'm doing here. As you can see, the screws are out of the old Quantum there. She was suffering from nasty rubber bumpers inside there. I took the magnet off and I had to clean it. I had to put some O-rings on there. It still didn't want to work. I'll show you after we're done. But I did recap it, and that didn't help. But we are copying everything to this NEC hard drive up top here, trying to save whatever's on here. Sadly, we're not going to be able to go forward with this like I wanted to, but we may have a chance at least saving the data. So it is going. It says MS-DOS 6, so I'm assuming it's reading that drive. Bummer about these old Quantum hard drives is, like I said, the rubber inside turns to goo and it gets all over everything. It's a real mess. But at a minimum, we're going to have a data save, hopefully. I'll come back when we're done. So the next thing I'm looking to do here is to modify this Dallas clock chip. It's a real-time clock. This 486 was lucky because it didn't have a barrel battery, but instead it had one of these. So I mean, I'd rather have one of these than have a barrel battery corrode and ruin the motherboard, because I think that's a lot of how these 386 and 486 systems are dying right now. What we got is some of these. These are just 2032 battery holders, and I've done this with success on 2 or 3 other systems with Dallas chips. Because what happens is when the Dallas battery dies, they loop. They won't start. They won't hold BIOS settings. As you can see, the date on this one is the 50th week of 1992. What you do is, that's pin 1 right there, so that's how you know where pin 1 is. The 3 pins in the middle there, see there's a void here, and there's a void here, is I drill, but you drill till you get metal. And the idea is then you can solder the wires. So what you can do then is you can solder the wires to the metal that you cut away here. And you got to get it to the point where you slice through the trace, the bonding inside there. It's like a big chunk of just plastic, like epoxy almost. And then that way, it doesn't, I don't know if these have charging or not, but I know that if you don't get it far enough, you don't get at least the one trace cut to where it can't pass through, you'll drain your new battery. So, we can look in the future at a couple systems that I've Dallas modified and see how they've held up. I've did them several months ago, but this is the idea behind this, and I will post up what it looks like when it's all done. But this is the next critical step to getting this 486 back on the road again. So when it's all said and done, it should look something like this. It's not pretty, although ones I've done, I have to say this is probably the prettiest. I just took a hole and kind of drilled, and you can kind of see I missed there. I'm pretty sure I got contact, 'cause I measured and we got 3 volts there, and I was touching not the wiring there. So we will know for sure when we install it in the machine, and it will hold its clock settings. So I suppose logically that would be the next thing we will try. Okay, maiden voyage. Here we go. Gonna apply power here. That's a good sign. Okay, so we got 3 megs of RAM. Real-time clock failure. Hopefully that'll go away. There we go. Let me set this up and we'll be right back. Alright, here's the moment of truth. Hit F4 here, save values. It's always fun. I didn't know if we had cache on board or not. BIOS shadow enable, yes. Video BIOS shadow enable, yes. We'll turn the cache off. Let's try this again. Didn't gripe about the clock, so I think we got it. It's not liking something. The drive light's stuck on. We got something on backwards. We figured it out. Some shrub who hooked it all up had the card on the controller backwards. That didn't quite care for that. Quick, easy fix. Oh, it is A drive first. And this should be loading up what was originally on this hard drive here. And we're in. We're running. Hey, look at that. Sweet. Now to decide what to do with all this information, if we're gonna try and salvage it, or if we'll probably end up starting over. But it's just cool to see this start up with its all of its original stuff. We'll piece it back together here, get it all back together, and we'll show it off with all put together. Another successful Dallas modification in the books. Well, you currently join me in the middle of seeing if the tape drive works. It's making a bunch of noise, and it says it's making progress formatting that tape, so we'll give her a try and see. I tried to upgrade the RAM, and I'm really limited on Sims. I only got just a few, so that might be something to shop for at VCF this coming weekend. So we're stuck at 4 megabytes. We just have DOS on here. I'm kind of trying to figure out what I want to do with the system, what I kind of want to make it into. As it is, I mean, it'd be a decent imaging machine, like if someone had a bunch of tapes or something that needed recovered, or I'm not saying I'm going to fall into a big pile of them. You know how that goes. System is stable. It kept its date and time like we wanted it to. Got the hard drive cage mounted in there, and it looks kind of haphazard. I'm going to work on getting the front case back on and eventually get the cover back on. There is one more card that was in this computer, and I'm not sure what it was for. Looks like some sort of SCSI card, but I was going to put some pictures up on the vintage computer page on Facebook and see if anyone's got any ideas. But tape drives whirring away here. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't take another 33 minutes. I don't think these were ever any sort of speed demon fast thing. Another thing I'm curious about is every time this thing starts up, it says the internal and external cache is disabled. I don't know what that's about. This does have an onboard 486SX, but it's 25 megahertz. I know the SX is kind of the lower end. I wish I had a processor to swap it to. Might be looking for one of them at VCF too. Get it up to like a DX4100 or something. We'll have to see. But for the moment, it's running good, and we'll see how this goes here with the tape drive. So, progress report. It's been at least half an hour, 35 minutes. We get to the end here, and it does this. I might throw another tape in there and try it, but I don't know, it's not make or break or anything. I just would like to see it work and just maybe show off, like, this is how people did this back in the 90s. But anyways, we'll try it again here and see what we get. So I did go to the trouble and dig out this old Logitech mouse, because this doesn't have any PS2 ports, obviously. And give her a little restart, and looky here, she works. That'll make life a little easier and pleasant. I'm going to try another tape, and we'll see what happens. If it doesn't work after that, then, like I said, not a big deal. It'll just be cool to demo how this used to be done. So, but I'm definitely going to back up. Well, if the tape drive's actually any good, I'm going to back up the software and have a copy of that somewhere. And yeah, that's currently right now. Look at this. I leave for an hour, go get something to eat, and come back. Same tape. I didn't try a different tape. I just tried formatting it again. And we got operation successful. So we're going to try backing it up. And we may actually try doing a restore too. I'm curious to see how that would work. Say your hard drive took a crap in the 90s. And as long as you had this software, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to restore everything back to how it was. So we may try that and see how that worked back in the 90s. I'd be curious. But for now, we'll try doing a backup here and we'll see how it goes. Well, we are in process here. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. It said it might take multiple tapes. It's 120 megabytes. Obviously, the tapes say they're only 80 megabytes. However, compression ratio is up to 4:1. So I don't know if it's going to fit everything on one tape or how that works. But it's been going for at least 20 minutes or better. So this is definitely a slow, drawn out process. And I do have another tape ready just in case. But yeah, I think we may try maybe delete everything and restore it all, or I don't know. We'll see here. Just see what this process was like back in the day. I mean, that'd be horrible to lose everything, but even though this takes a while, it would certainly be better than having to start over from scratch. We'll come back when something happens. So it appears to be done recording. Now it says reading files. What it must be doing is going through and comparing everything to make sure that it got a good write. So we'll come back when this is done here. And then at some point, like I said, we'll try mocking a data loss incident and seeing what the recovery process would have been like back in the day. Okay, we got an operation successful here. It took an hour and a half total time. That was quite a wait. It's getting kind of late now, so we'll come back to this another time, and like I said, we'll simulate a data loss and see what happens. Well, it's the next day. We've had a bit of an interesting conundrum develop here, and it's going to kind of affect how we move forward. I wanted to run ScanDisk on this drive because I knew it had some bad sectors at kind of the end of the drive, but I made the partition smaller. I only made it like a gigabyte. Close off the end of the drive. But I wanted to come in here and run ScanDisk just to make sure everything was healthy. And DOS 6 does not have ScanDisk. That must have came out later. But when I boot a Windows 98 boot CD and hit ScanDisk, I get this. It makes a huge difference when you type the drive letter of the drive you want to check in. So we get this message here basically saying LBA, which logical block addressing, may not be enabled, which I don't even know if this has that. It kind of leads me to believe that the BIOS in this system may be limited on what kind of drive we can, how big a drive we can run. And that presents us with a conundrum because it says it cannot read the last cluster. It can't read the last part of the drive, so it doesn't know where it is. So do we try and find a smaller drive? Do we reformat this drive with a smaller partition? Yeah, I was kind of not expecting this. I'm gonna either try and find a smaller drive for this, or risk it not working correctly. So we may actually get to test our theory on restoring a backup, which I got here. And that operation was successful. I'll make sure to get all them tools onto a disk, and we will see what happens here. We may actually get to try this, but I'm going to try a few other things first. So that's where we're at. This video just kind of keeps expanding and just kind of keeps getting more interesting. So FDisk is showing the correct size of the partition that I made. Although, no, I just noticed this space is 214 megabytes. And that's what the BIOS says for the actual physical geometry I typed in. So yeah, we're hitting a limit of the BIOS right here, and it's thinking that there's only 214 megabytes, which is obviously the remainder. It's a 1.2 gigabyte hard drive. So we're going to have to find a way to get this hard drive down under gigabyte. And I don't know if I can just type in some geometry to physically limit that, and that would work. I think that's a possibility. I want to say you can go smaller, but obviously you can't go bigger. So let me play with this here. We'll see what we get here. Maybe we can leave it as it is if I can physically change the geometry in the BIOS. Here's a look at the BIOS screen, and I always forget on these old Phoenix BIOSes, you can pretty much unplug everything, and it won't, as long as the clock's good and all that, it won't give you an option to go in. Control-Alt-S, and you can execute that from anywhere, is the way in. So I'm going to make some edits on this, try and get that size there, because I think that's actually what it's thinking we got. It's actually what we're seeing. So we're going to give that a shot here. I'm going to try and turn that cache on too. Let me see if it'll give me an option to do that. And yes, it does. I've been curious about this. There we go. That will make a huge difference on speed as well. Give us just a minute. We'll be right back. So quickly, just doing a little math in my head and just kind of trying here, I came up with this. I reduced the cylinder count to 2031, which is giving us 999, which it's only 3 digits. I'm going to try and save this and restart, and then we will check and see what FDisk says. If the size changes, we still may need to repartition it to that because it's still technically bigger than that. But let's see if this fixes the problem and if it even reads. So we're back here at the Windows 98 startup disk. And if I'm right, I'm going to hit this, and I bet we're going to get the same error. Yeah. But I'm going to check now is if what FDisk has to say. If FDisk is showing 999, then we know. Ha 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 ha. So it's one of these deals where this BIOS is old enough to where it's only limit that you can only have hard drives as big as 504 megabytes. So this 486 is early enough to where that was still a limitation, which brings us back to, do we try and find a smaller drive? Do we see if we can cap this drive? I'm going to try capping it first. And then if that doesn't work, then we're going to have to try and find a smaller hard drive, or get a network card in there with XTID in it, and then just eliminate the system's BIOS and let XTID handle it, which you can do. You can flash it onto an EEPROM. I wish I had some EEPROMs to flash it on. And then stick it on a network card, and when the network card loads, it'll read the BIOS that's on the card and initialize it that way. But this is where we're at right now, and this is what you deal with some of these older systems here. Something I guess I didn't really consider or think about at the time. I mean, when you're going from 127 megabyte hard drive to a 1 gigabyte hard drive, that's a pretty sizable jump. So let me play with this some more, and we will come back. So basically I cut the number in half there. That gave us 499. Let's see what that does. Love that little rebooting in the corner there. The nice touch you don't usually see on other BIOSes. It's still saying internal cache. Oh, it says enabled. It says, I thought it said disabled. My bad. Well, I'm going to let this load and we'll check it again here. So this is what we got after our reboot. I think we still need to get that partition size down to that. So we're going to have to repartition the drive, or I have an idea of how this, I believe how this is supposed to work is, if I make a boot disk, if I sys a disk with the tape stuff on it, with the tape software on it, an F disk, I can re-F disk this drive, and then using the floppy, pull up the tape program and restore everything back to how it was, and it should reload and reboot everything to how it was before, if I understand that correctly. And then we just hit reset and we're good to go. If not, then we'll have to figure it out. But like I said, this is an interesting problem you could have dealt with in the 90s when you're trying to upgrade your system. You know, because this stuff wasn't cheap back then. It's not cheap now, but so let's try that. I'll get the utilities off the drive, and we'll go from there. I think we may be having some other issues here, unrelated. I attempted to format a floppy and sys it for this system, and that's a lot of bad sectors. Something is unhappy. So I may fire up the IBM over there and make another disk, and I don't know if that floppy needs to be cleaned or something. But so over here on the IBM 5150, and we're going to try and make a system disk over here. See what this thing has to say. I don't trust that floppy drive. I haven't gone through it. We'll see what this does. Okay, it wants a DOS diskette, which I don't have. I should make one for it, just kind of as a backup. But we'll do this. Drive F, that's that drive there. And we are formatting. Pretty wild how you can format a 144 disk on a PC, really. So we'll do this and then we will sys manually when we are done. It does have some bad sectors on it. Tell you what, we're gonna find a fresh, better disk and do this all over again. In the process, making a quick system disk for this machine. Copy some utilities over to it. Just gonna have it as a backup. I've got one for this one. Have one for over here. I just use regular format on this /s. And I'm going to format another drive using CC format, which is the Compati card version of format for the Compati card. And leave that disk in there. And what I'm assuming it wanted was the system files off of drive A. I don't know why it didn't try to hit the hard drive first, but I believe that's what it wanted in the first place. I sure don't leave much on there. Wow. Okay, we will try that and see. That's in fact what it was. Alright, we're going to try this again. CC format /s with a DOS sys disk in drive A. Let's see what this does. Insert DOS diskette drive A. Yep, that's exactly what it wanted. It wanted the sys files off of the diskette. Insert new diskette and drive F. Which we got one in there. And now it's formatting. And we'll copy the system files when we're done. Cool. So there you go. Now we'll go back over to the other computer and copy some files over from over there and start over. Well, a moment of truth. The dirty deed has been done. The partition's been deleted and remade. 499 megabytes. And reformatted. I'm going to check it with ScanDisk to see if it still complains. If it doesn't, we're gonna try restoring the backup we made last night. The files are on the disk in there, so stand by. Moment of truth. Hey, look at that. So that's what we had to do. We'll give this a surface scan. And next we'll attempt to restore the media. We're nearing the end here of our ScanDisk scan, and everything looks to be okay so far. I did find out what the miscellaneous wire in there was for. It was for the hard drive light. So everything's working there. And we get a clean bill of health here. We're going to attempt a restoration of the data. Imagine having to do this back in the mid-90s. Well, this is good news. Fun fact, you cannot run the tape software from drive A, so I actually made a directory on our newly formatted disk there and copied all the files over, and then it's worked just fine. Put the tape in, and it picked up our backup from last night. So restored a disk. We'll go through this together here, see what it does. Blank if default. Yep, that's what we want. And it looks like it's gonna do that, so we'll let this go for a while, as I'm sure it's gonna take a while. Although it might be a little faster now that cache is on, hopefully. So we'll let this go for a while, and we'll come back when it's 55 minutes. We'll let this go for a while, come back when it's done, and see how easy it works. So that Western Digital Go. I assume there's going to be some sort of verification process afterwards. Sweet. So that operation is done. We're going to exit this. And there's everything in there. Will it boot? Is the next question. Or am I going to have to sys? I might have to sys it. I don't know. Well, we'll see here. Yeah. Standby. So should be able to do something like this. Can we do it from here? Okay. Check the floppy. Control delete. Reset. Don't get any better than that. It's like it never happened. How about that? Very cool. I could see that being a total lifesaver compared to having everything backed up on a floppy disk, especially if you had a lot of it. Very cool. So I believe we've got enough here to make this a part 1. What I'd like to do is in the future, I'd like to get the RAM up in this system from 4 megabytes to 8 or 16. We seem to have the hard drive sorted. Install Windows and maybe install an upgrade processor like a DX2 or whatever this will allow. But neat little system, little Omnitech system, and we will catch you next time. Thanks for watching.